Hey guys, it's Chris Spate with Cheat the Game coming back at you. Today we're going to be taking a look at Far Cry New Dawn, but we're doing a specific thing, and the reason being is that if you got the regular version of it, you should have no problem using Cheat Engine whatsoever. However, if you did get the crack version or using the CPY crack on it, it somehow has activated the isDebuggerPresent, which means if you find out what accesses the address or go to memory view and try to find the addresses that are going through an opcode, the game is going to crash down on you. Now, we change our debugger options in edit settings, debugger options, and I have it on VEH. Now, if I leave it on VEH and put and use that for Far Cry New Dawn, I get no information whatsoever. So we have to use Windows Debugger on Far Cry New Dawn, and we always want to make sure that that checkbox is checked. Try to prevent detection of debugger. However, isDebuggerPresent is an API that's called from most games, and it's detecting to see if a debugger is placed on it. It's basically an anti-hack. And my pal Lobit, he was fudging around with the game, and he found the most common way, or how we used to be able to do this, is to modify the flag variable that is monitoring is that isDebuggerPresent. 0 means there is no debugger detected. 1 means there is a debugger detected, and we just go modify that flag, and it's in turn carried by EAX back to the calling program, which in this case will be Far Cry New Dawn. Now, I want to say this right off the bat before we even get into it. This is a way that you would try first in regards to that, being able to use a debugger. This is a most common way to try to see if it works, but I'm going to tell you right now, in most games it will not work. Excuse me. Usually there are more going on with this isDebuggerPresent and more algorithms involved and more functions involved in today's games. However, it does work in this situation, and it may work in other situations with other games as well. It is an option to try. We will get more into isDebuggerPresent, to modify these things at a later time. I'm working on that now in Just Cause, but having a little bit of trouble with it. But for right now, I want to go ahead and get your feet wet and get you started on how to modify that flag, how to find that flag first of all, because no matter how you do it and what game you do it, you're going to need to find that flag. You're going to need to find that routine, and you always want to go modify that first. Okay, and you may have to do that in other locations as well. But let me go ahead and bring everything up. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to my pal Lobit. This was his method. This is his lesson. I give him all the credit for it. I recommend that you come over here, subscribe to his channel, and as you see, he's putting new things up here all the time. And this is a guy I watched come learn a lot of stuff. This guy has more patience than anybody I've ever seen. He'll go play with values that we just consider, I'm getting burnt out on this, I'm getting tired of this, but man, he just finds everything he can possibly find in a game, and you can really learn a lot, and he's got a lot of techniques and stuff that he uses that you can learn from. So I recommend you come over here, get subscribed to his channel, and come learn the same way I do. Alright, I'll be right back with you. Okay, now that I brought the game up, what we're going to do here is see exactly what the game is doing. Then we're going to go learn a little bit about isDebuggerPresent. But first off, what I want to say is, before you have to change your debuggers before you attach to the game. If you already are attached to the game with the current cheat engine that you have up, and I say, well, you need to change the debuggers or try a different debugger, that means that you will definitely have to bring up an entirely new cheat engine. What I recommend then is turn off all your cheats, bring up a new cheat engine, and then change the debuggers that way in edit settings, debugger options. And then you can attach that to the game. It's better just to take everything down and just bring up a fresh cheat engine, bring up the game anew again. But you can still do it that way. Alright, so let's go ahead and attach to the game. We do have Windows Debugger that we know does work. However, it will make the game crash, and I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to open up the cheat table, and this is Chaos Hacks cheat tables with a combination of some things from Sunbeam. Also, there's a couple of my hacks in here, but all I'm really going to be using right now is the weapons no reload, and I'm just going to copy that And I'm just going to delete the rest of this. I'm not really deleting it, I'm just taking it off the cheat table. It's still saved, so I'm not going to save anything. So I still have my cheat table in my cheat table files, and we're going to just go ahead and use this ammo as a demonstration. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And what I did is I made an injection copy out of it, out of Chaos Hacks code here, just so we could find the address, or to find the address for us of ammunition. So when I go back to the game, let's fire off a round and let's see what it does. Oh, bear with me just a second here. Sorry, I got to turn that on. There we go. Now the script is on. And we see right away that it goes directly to that address. Now, you would be finding this address when you search for it. You don't really have a script or anything. But when you finally find the address, this is what it's going to be. And this is what happens. Okay, now we go to the next step of the hack process, which is, you know, we want to find what's either writing or accessing the address to, so we know what place in memory we can put our script or our injection. So we will go ahead and attach the debugger to cheat engine to the current process. And we see it come up here, and we actually see an opcode that it's going through, which is good. We see it's on the pause screen. But as soon as we go back to the game, boom, it crashes down. The good thing about it is that it did allow us to see some locations. So we could possibly just go in there and use any of these locations. Mine, I will just go here and just start modifying. But it gets annoying after a while, especially if you're doing more complex cheats later, like stealth or something like that. Then, you know, it crashing down on you every time you attach a debugger to it, or you need to compare out for health, or whatever it is you're doing, can get very, very annoying. So we need to see if there's a way that we can work around that. And so for right now, what I did is go to msdnmicrosoft.com and isDebuggerPresent function, which is an API in Windows. And we can see here it determines whether the calling process, which will be the game Far Cry New Dawn, determines whether the calling process is being debugged by a user mode debugger. And how does it do that? This function has no parameters, so we don't have to worry about that. So the return value, if the current process is running in the context of a debugger, the return value is non-zero. This is usually brought back by EAX, or is placed into EAX to send back that information to the calling program. If the current process is not running in the context of debugger, that means we have not put a debugger on it, the return value will be 0. So this tells us right here that if the game reads a 0 in that EAX, it's going to be returning that value from that API, then it will just go ahead and function like normal. It will say, okay, he's not running debugger, go ahead and keep playing the game. Okay, so that's how we're going to try to fool the system into letting us use our debugger and it never catching us do it. So, but like I say, in more games today and things, it's more sophisticated than this. Okay, this rarely works. This that I'm doing right here rarely works in just doing this. You have to do other things too, but we'll get into that later. But right now, this is the best thing to try. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me bring the game back up. It takes a few minutes for it to load back up, so I'm going to pause it while I do that. Alrighty, so I got the game back up. We'll go ahead and reattach to the game. And let's go ahead and turn our script back on to find our MO address. Alrighty, let's head on outside so we can use our weapon. Okay, so we have that back on, and here's our new ammo address. But before I do that, we know if we try to attach a debugger to it, it's just going to slam us down again. So what I'm going to do is go to memory view, just right here at the opening, and I want to go to the beginning of the program, which is located right here, as you can see when you first bring up memory viewer. And if you don't know, if you've already been into the memory viewer and you don't know exactly where that's at the beginning of the game, what you can do is go here and click on memory regions. And this could take a minute or two. There you go. And what you want to do is just scroll down and find the game, and they'll be kind of clustered together, so it's really not that hard to find. And you can see right here, here's the spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to address just to copy this down. Make sure that we're there. Go to address. And what I want to do is I just want to go to address, and I'm just going to use the symbol. It's already predefined. The game is already using it. It's calling this function by the name, so isDebuggerPresent. Make sure to spell it with the caps correctly and everything. And we're going to go to it, and it takes us to the kernel 32 debugger, as you can see right here. So it wants us to jump to the 64-bit version, I believe. Let's follow that, and boom, here we go. We can see right here that RX plus 2 is telling EAX if it's detecting a debugger or not, a byte pointer. And so that's a 0 and possibly a 1. Is telling the system whether the debugger is present or not, and EAX is carrying that back to the calling program. We can actually find out what function that's calling it. However, our game will crash again, but I want to do that. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a bookmark here. That way I can just come back to it, and then I'm coming down here and I'm going to place some break and trace instructions on it, just so I can see what is calling isDebuggerPresent and where this is going back to. Okay, so let's go back to the game and see what we get. Okay, it did crash on me and did not pick up the information. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So let me bring the game back up. And I'm leaving that crashing down in the video so you can see. I mean, we all go through this. So if it's happening to you, don't think you're the only one. Don't get frustrated. If you find yourself getting frustrated with crashes and things, especially when you're trying to find encrypted values or just having trouble with the debuggers and stuff, you know, just set it to the side. Come back to it some other time fresh, you know. But I promise you that, you know, you're going to run into things that's going to happen that will frustrate you. So, you know, keep that in mind, okay? But we all go through it. I don't care how good of a programmer you are or coder you are, you're going to go through it. There's no way around it, okay? So since we know that we put a break and trace on here, we can't really find the call portion as of yet, because it'll just crash down on us before it gives us any information. So what we want to do is, let's go back and just reiterate what it does. The current process is not running in the context of the debugger. The return value is 0. So we know we want to send 0 back with EAX. We know that this is what's being called by Far Cry New Dawn to slam us down. That RAX plus 2 offset is the flag address, is debugger present. So we need to modify what it's sending into EAX. And I always recommend doing this. A lot of people will tell you, go ahead and just take that out and move 00 into EAX. And yeah, you can do that if that's the only area that's calling it. However, if there are other areas that are in that game calling it, just that one EAX ain't going to do it. So I recommend to always modify RAX plus 2 instead before it writes to EAX. That way you're changing the flag directly, so anything else reading that flag, hopefully it'll see it's been changed and nothing else is changing it to the debugger. Okay, and we'll get into more of that later with the PEB and things like that, but for right now we're just modifying the calling program detecting that flag. Alright, so if you remember from my Back to Basics series, I want to allocate some memory so I can change what RAX plus 2 is holding, which I'm going to change to always be 0 before it writes to that EAX. So I cannot put my code injection on that opcode. The reason being, it only has 4 bytes. And the very next instruction is a return. You never want to carry a return to allocated memory. That's also a return short. Okay, so, and if you're going to allocated memory, you might need a different type of return. Okay, so never carry RAT to allocated memory. So what we want to do is we want to put it on the opcode above. We see there are plenty of bytes. We need 5 bytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 bytes, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 bytes left over. So 5 bytes and 4 nops is what we need. That'll be plenty, and by the time it jumps back to here, it will already have 0 and RAX plus 2 to give to EAX, and EAX sends that information back to the calling program. Alright, hope that isn't confusing anybody. I apologize, but this is basic stuff. This isn't hard stuff here. So what we want to do here is we just want to put in, you can name it whatever you want, but bypass debugger is what I'm calling it. That way I know what this particular function or this particular script is going to be doing. Alright, and it finds a unique array for us here, and as you can see, jump to new min, which that's what that'll change into. So it'll jump to new min, which is our allocated memory, and there's the 4 remaining bytes that need to be knocked out for that. So what we want to do is right underneath here, we can see that this is moving the value into RAX, which is our flag base address, and our flag value is located at the offset of 2. So what we want to do is we want to modify it directly after. So byte pointer RAX plus 02, and we always want it writing a 0 into there. Every time it's accessed, it's going to jump down here, write a 0 to it, jump back to here, write that 0 to EAX. EAX is going to send that back to Far Cry New Dawn that's calling to see if that debugger is present or not. Is that clear? That's pretty straightforward stuff, right? Alright. So now let's see what happens. What I want to do is I want to just name this debugger anti-hack bypass. So hopefully this will work. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on my no reload script. Let's go back to the game. So we got that on. Okay. So now let's go back to it to where we have located our ammunition. Now we got our bypass debugger script on, and let's see what accesses the address. And we see that we know it works in the pause screen because we saw it work in the pause screen earlier. But here's where the truth comes out. Now take a look. You see that? Now we're able to use the debugger. It's not crashing the game down, and we got other information that is very valuable to us in that regard. So that's good. So now let's make sure we stop that, but we'll keep that information up. And what I want to do is I want to go back, and I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to see what's calling this function, break and trace instruction, and there we go. We get it right off the bat, and it doesn't crash the game down. So let's go take a look at what's calling that isDebuggerPresent. And we come back to here. So it's calling it from right here. Here's the call, and it's coming back to here, and we can see what's happening in EAX. And you can see also, let's take a look. It's testing EAX here. Jump if equal. This is jumping to detect debugger. Okay. I'm not sure where. I believe right here where EAX is moving that value into ESI. This part right here looks like that is what is slamming us down. So if we come to here and always have it jump over this, I think it will never slam down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my script. I'm just playing around with it right now. Or actually, we can probably just I don't know, you could possibly knock the call out, or we can just move, or just have it always jumping over. So let's just see. You could possibly do either one of them. But see, these are some other things that you need to go try when it's not working. And there'll be other places in memory. So you need to get very familiar with knocking calls and seeing what the things are doing. See if you can jump over these things where it's looking at that value. It's comparing right here, that EAX that it just brought back. And you can see what it's doing. So something's going on here, but we can jump all the way over that if we want to. Let's see what that does. And when our script is off. So what I want to do now is put the debugger back on it. And you see we got a new debugger screen on it. It's in the pause menu. And take a look. We are not crashing down. So there's more than one way you can do these things, but that's how you can get to it. That's a method that you always want to use in any of the games to get you started anyway, to find these other errors in memory that are using that isDebuggerPresent function. And I do hope this helps you. I want to thank you all for coming out and watching these vids, supporting Cheat the Games. Please place a like on it to let me know this helped you. This really helps me out. I really appreciate it. I'm able to keep these vids coming out to you. I am in the process of moving, so you know I will get more vids out to you, but hopefully by May I can be more focused on it, because it's just a tedious process and everything. So hopefully I can get all that done by next month. And I want to thank all my admins and mods at all my channels, at the Discord, at the Facebook. Come join us over there at the websites. I want to thank my friends over at Guided Hacking for all their continued support. I want to thank Lowbit for this tutorial right here. This is his tutorial. He showed me this because I had no clue how to do it. And I also want to thank Chaos Hacks as well for the use of his cheat table for this particular thing. And I want to thank all of you for coming out. But let me thank my partners. You see these guys right here. These guys are the reason Cheat the Game is still coming out with vids. If it wasn't for these guys, these vids would have to cease because I just would not have the time to do them. But they make it possible for me too with their kind donations. I make sure to make it worth their while, give them perks every month. Please come over and help Cheat the Game out. Be part of the family. We'd love to have you. It only costs $1 a month, and believe me, that dollar goes a long way. And I really want to help you guys. I really want you guys to learn, and I really want to be able to answer any questions that you may have. And we want to make that available to you. We want Cheat the Game to grow and be more productive and to help you and get more out of your games. God knows you pay enough for it already, and we want to make sure that you get the most out of every single game that you buy, okay? And we can do that for you, and we want you a part of our family. All right, well guys, I'm gonna cut on out of here. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I will be coming out with one very soon. What I'm working on now is a hit anywhere, thanks to Abystus that is currently helping me with that, and it's really awesome, and I'll be telling you more about him in the next vid tutorial to come. So stay tuned for that. You won't want to miss this one. All right guys, I'm out of here. You all take care, keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. You all take care now.